Hi there everyone, Life DIY Josie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Thrifty Thursday when I do a throwback of one low budget idea every Thursday. For this DIY, I'll be using two stainless steel paper towel holders. So I've just put one upside down and the other one is right side up. And then I'm just going to be using 4 zip ties. And these are the smaller size of zip ties. They also sell them at Dollar Tree. And I am just using 4 pieces, 2 on the top, so 1 on each corner and then 2 at the bottom. So first, I have connected 2 zip ties on the top and then I inverted it and then placed the ones at the bottom. It's just easier that way for me, but if you want to connect them downside rather than upside, it's totally up to you. And then once again, I am just pulling its zip tie tight and then trimming the excess zip ties or materials and then cutting them. Then this DIY is actually done. And I'm going to be placing my daughter's necklaces. And I will be leaving you with some music to enjoy this portion here. I love that it can fit a lot of necklaces. I lost count and my daughter kept placing more for me to add. This is really very functional and very easy to make. So this will be placed on top of her vanity. Now, you might be wondering, what about those long necklaces? Like my locket here. It is very long. You may have different lengths of necklaces, so this is perfect for you. I'm just gonna adjust it very simply, and voila! I have adjusted this to the perfect height, and I still have enough clearance. I actually could still adjust it way up, but I didn't need to. And then I still have spaces for other necklaces or even chain bracelets. This DIY, I'll be using one stainless steel paper towel holder that I got at Dollar Tree. And then 4 pieces of the matching stainless steel napkin holders. This is the tag, in case you're wondering. It's by Cooking Concept. And then I'll also be using some zip ties. So I've chosen white small zip ties. So first, I'll be connecting 2 paper towel holders this way with my zip ties. I will need to loosely connect them first because the zip ties will just keep them together while I assemble the pieces together. So I'll just be putting one zip tie here where you'll see me putting it, and then another zip tie on the opposite end, and then below them on the other side of the napkin holders, I'll be also putting 2 zip ties in the same positions or place where I placed the other 2. So again, this is just loosely connecting my zip ties in order for me to easily connect the paper towel holder with these 2 napkin holders. I'm inserting the paper towel holder in between these 2 napkin holders like so. And then I am placing 1 zip tie at the center of the 2 napkin holders. Again, loosely connecting my zip tie there. I'm doing the same process with the other 2 napkin holders loosely connecting them with 4 zip ties like I did with the first pair, and then inserting the handle of the paper towel holder and then connecting another zip tie at the center loosely again. I have slided up the top 2 paper towel holders, and then I am tightening each of the zip tie. And then once I like the height, I'm just leaving about 1.5 inches spare of that paper towel holder there so that it'll be my handle. Then I'm gonna be connecting more zip ties. Here on this side, I'm crisscrossing my zip ties. As you can see, I'm trying to capture the corner there of one of the napkin holders to the other side, or the opposite napkin holder, like so. So I'm just gonna do it again, repeat it here. So diagonally, I am capturing the corner there. That way, my napkin holders will not slide down. So now I am tightening each of the zip tie again. Notice that at the bottom part, I didn't put a middle zip tie, and I'm not even doing the crisscross zip ties as well, but you can do that just to make it a little bit more secure. But to me, I didn't find it necessary. So here, I just flip it on its side just to tighten the bottom 2 zip ties. I only needed 2 at the bottom. Tightening it some more. And then when I'm satisfied, I'm also checking if making sure that the 2 napkin holders at the top are leveled or aligned and not tilting or unbalanced. And then as you notice here, I'm turning those knots, or where you see those bulky connections, downwards so that they will not be too exposed or protruding. That way it looks a little cleaner. And later on, I'll show you also that I will make this a little bit more cohesive in look and not too exposed. So anyway, here I am putting the other zip tie to crisscross or make a letter X here of a connection. Then tightening it again as I turn the bulky part, or where the connection is, to the bottom part or bottom side, so as they are not exposed. And here, in a little bit of a faster motion, I'm doing the same thing on the opposite side. You see, that's an X or crisscross connection, trapping the corners on opposite sides just to make sure that my napkin holders will not slide down. So here I am making sure they align and tight again before I cut the excess zip ties. Just pulling them tightly and then cutting the excess zip ties. And this is what it looks like. Now I'm using this nail filer so that I can dull the ends of those sharp zip tie cuts that are exposed so that it will not cause any scratches or cuts. And I'm also going to be applying hot glue so that it will be a double protection and also dual purpose so that it will kind of stick and make my connection more secure. And I slide up the other 2 napkin holders a little higher, maybe 2 inches higher, so that it's elevated. And then I did the same thing of connecting and tightening and cutting the excess zip ties. And then filing the edges as well. And like I said, applying hot glue will make it more secure, and also those sharp edges will be covered and protected by the hot glue. And here's what it looks like now, the tower. Love it! Now, to those of you who do not like to see the zip ties, I found this acrylic paint from Target Dollar Spot for $1. So I'm just going to be using one of my artist paint brushes, and then I'm just going to be shaking the silver paint. It's 2 fluid ounces from Target Dollar Spot or Bullseye Playground for just $1. And I'll be just applying the silver paint on the zip ties to camouflage them and make them blend better. They may look more silvery in finish than if I leave them white. They will stick out. At least this one will allow the zip ties to blend in. Now you may opt to spray paint the zip ties first before you use them, but I figured this one is also a great option, and for just $1 I was able to buy that acrylic silver paint. So I applied a couple of coats of that silver paint, drying in between each coat, and then now I'm cleaning the excess paint using cotton buds. Here it is. You can hang your watches or bracelets. I have this big bangle here, and I place it at the top center, and these are the ones, the watches either with clasps that open up on each end. Of course, you will not be able to put watches that have no clasp or those clasps that do not detach, that do not open up on each end. I am also using this to organize hoop earrings, and there's plenty of space. Next is a simple and easy assembly organizer. I'm using this wire rectangular basket from Dollar Tree. This is the shallow one. And I'm also using some of the picture hooks that they also sell at Dollar Tree. So you see that there are 55 pieces there inside this container, and they only sell it for $1. So if you have a lot of photos to hang, you can buy that at Dollar Tree in their hardware section. So I'm just going to be choosing these 2 gold hooks, the smaller ones, not the big ones, because it's just going to be a simple, lightweight organizer. And this is where I place them. So what I'm going to be doing is just hang each corner or each end of that basket. And then I'm going to be adding some more necklaces. Actually, this time I'm going to be showing you my chokers, the heavy ones, and my daughter's thin necklaces, one on each side, so that you can see you can use this for bigger necklaces and smaller necklaces as well. Now, there are still other places there where you can hang necklaces on each of those grids, but I've decided to add my tassels and charms because I love collecting them for my journals, and I also hang tassels on my purses or bags. So I have a lot more, so I have spaces there. But if you want to use it for hoop earrings, I just don't wear hoop earrings. We just go for studs. That'll be perfect. Next, I'm going to be using this 4x6 frame that I got at Dollar Tree. This is actually already pre-finished with this color and even has a gold edging. I love it a lot. It's deep, unlike the other picture frames. So what I've done is I've just removed the insert as well as the glass, and I replaced the backing, and I'm leaving this metal bracket here or fastener in order to keep it in place. I'm gonna be creating a ring and earrings organizer. This frame is perfect because it is deep, and I'm gonna be using my daughter's old foam rollers, and they do sell also foam rollers at Dollar Tree. So here I'm just marking each side to make sure that I cut the proper size of my foam rollers. And I'm just going to be using my ruler here, and I think this is close to 3.5. It's not quite 3.5, so don't take my word for it. Just use your ruler for a more accurate measurement. Then I'm marking on the foam roller where I'm going to be making the cut with the exact measurement. But before I cut, there is a wire inside the foam roller to make it twist. So I cut the button on one end, and on the opposite end, I pull it out like so. So I'm doing that on all foam rollers that I'm going to be using. Here, I'm just cutting it with a box cutter, and then I use the scissors in the end for each one. And I have 4 purple and 4 turquoise or teal because I want the kind of color combination to give it more depth, and it'll be more fun rather than having just one color. So I'm applying hot glue each time before I attach the roller. And take note, I am not applying the hot glue to the foam, but to the backing of the picture frame. This way, I do not burn the foam because it might melt also, because hot glue is hot and it could melt things. And it's a cleaner application also, and I could avoid burning myself as well. So you could see here, I waited too long, so I needed to add more hot glue. So I am just alternating the colors. Since the foam rollers from Dollar Tree may not be as smooth as this, you may want to cover them with fabric so that they will look much prettier. Actually, you can use them as is, but since my daughter's old rollers that she is no longer using really look so smooth compared to the ones they sell at Dollar Tree, you may want to cover your Dollar Tree rollers with fabric. Remove any excess glue and start organizing the rings as well as earrings. And if only they sell the big ones, the big frames at Dollar Tree, you could probably make one that would be big enough to hold also strands of necklaces. I love how this turned out, and you can fold the back and put it inside your drawer or maybe on top of your desk or vanity like so, or use the back stand and keep it upright. And that's how actually my daughter is using it currently. Here are some of her earrings. So I'm placing them there too. And you can create more than one, and you can actually use this as a gift for someone who likes rings and earrings or jewelry in general. I love it. And I love the color. It's really pretty. Using 3 4x6 frames similar to what I used earlier, I'm going to be creating another jewelry or vanity organizer where I can hold watches, or it could be a catch-all for watches or your daily regular jewelry like bracelets and rings. So you can keep this on your vanity or your bathroom counter. So here I'm just going to be loosening it up, opening it this way because I am going to be using this Dollar Tree gift bag. And I am just going to cut it to size so that I can replace the image or the insert there. I like this design because it is like a hologram or holographic design, and it does look like diamond, right? Or jewelry or gem. So this will be perfect for a vanity organizer, for a catch-all. So this is a very simple DIY organizer, and it's very inexpensive for a total of $4. I mean, it's really very inexpensive to make. So after cutting those 3 inserts to size, I am just placing it inside and then putting the glass as well as the backing with the stand intact, and then placing them inside this picture frame like so. Now you could remove the backing or the stand. I decided not to because it can be inserted and it'll hold it there. So next time or in the future, if I want to revamp this, then I still have the stand. But if you want to remove, go for it. Now you can use Fix All. Well, actually it's super glue Fix All, or E6000 to put them together along with hot glue. But for demonstration purposes, I will be just using hot glue this time. And another way to also reinforce, you can use those craft sticks at the back to connect each end and apply more glue there at the back. So if you want to make sure that it doesn't get dislodged or separated. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and prop it up with some of my items that I could probably display on it. So like this candle that I got also at Dollar Tree, and here are a couple of watches just for demonstration purposes. So I have these 2 watches here. There's still a room for a 3rd one. Here's a bangle or a bracelet. You can put more if you want to. You can also put rings here, you know, to temporarily corral or hold your rings. And earrings, especially after you left the house, you know, and you came back home and you just want to remove them before you take a shower or bath. And I am also using this to display some of the perfumes and skincare toner. I just want to demonstrate here that it's not only for jewelry but also for perfumes that you can normally see probably on a vanity. I really love the finish on this frame because I don't need to paint it, and there's already a gilded edge with gold. Next, I'll be using 2 stainless steel napkin holders, and I'm just going to be lining them up next to each other, and then I'm going to be connecting them first using this zip tie at the center just to connect them together. So I'll be using 2 zip ties. What I've done here is that when I tie the zip tie, I place the one with the bulky ends at the top, not at the bottom, because it's going to be unbalanced if I put it at the bottom. So that's why I am making it face upwards, not downwards. And then I'm just snipping it off with my sharp scissors from Dollar Tree as well. You can actually add 2 more zip ties, 1 on each side, where they are parallel next to each other so that they are more secured. So I'm just using these 2 stainless steel napkin holders that I have connected. As you can see, this can hang also using the same picture hooks that I used earlier, and there I've hung also my chokers and bracelets and even a watch, just so for demonstration purposes. This one can also handle the long locket that I have, and there are plenty more spaces there for other bracelets and necklaces and watches. So my advice, instead of just 2 hooks on the top, place another couple of hooks close to the center, and then maybe 4 more hooks at the bottom so that it'll be sturdy, especially if you are hanging something heavy. But for demonstration purposes, I only use a couple of them. And this is what it looks like. I really love this. So for the next DIY, I'll be using this box that I got at Dollar Tree. I love that it has already 2 drawers and they have drawer pulls. So I'm really not gonna change the appearance of this box. I will be using 4 of them and I will just be connecting them. I will be creating a sort of a trinket box slash jewelry box. Using my hot glue gun, I'm applying hot glue to the bottom of one of the boxes and then I connected it on top of the other box. And then I'm hot gluing the other 2 boxes as well. And then I'm just gonna turn one on its side and then applying hot glue there. And then I am just gonna connect the other 2 that I have connected earlier to that, like so. And here it is. This project is done. I love that this has already drawers that have their pulls. So this bulky ring will not fit inside the one that I created earlier, the picture frame ring holder. And also this hair clips. So I'm putting some of my daughter's hair clips here so that they are corralled and in the proper place. And more of her hairpins and hair clips will be placed in this treasure or trinket or jewelry box. No additional embellishments. You can add them if you want to, but this is just perfect. Here's an upcycling jewelry organizer using this lid and then this dowel rod from Dollar Tree. And also I'm going to be using bubble tea straw as well as this empty roll of paper towel and also a leftover cardstock. And I'm going to be using Apple Barrel's pink acrylic paint to paint my project. So to puncture a hole on the center of my lid, I will be using either one of these 2 tools. One is a hot knife and then this one is just a plain hot glue gun. And the tip, once it's hot, can burn through items, especially plastic, so it can create a hole. First, I'm going to be tracing the tip of my dowel rod to the center. And the good thing about this lid, it already has a mark at the center. And then either using my hot knife or the tip of my hot glue gun, I will be puncturing the hole. To be honest, I prefer the tip of the hot glue gun because it already has the same or almost the same diameter of the tip of my dowel rod. So I'm just adjusting to expand the diameter of the hole so that the diameter of the dowel rod will fit. And I'm just cutting the excess material there that I burned through and voila, it fits. So I just push it all the way down level to the bottom of my lid and then I hot glued it there just to keep it in place so that it doesn't wobble. I'm letting the hot glue dry. And while I do that, I'm just gonna cover the empty roll of paper towel and cover it with my cardstock. You can use contact paper or any decorative paper. You can even use fabric if you prefer. But since I have a lot of this cardstock or paper pads, I'm using this instead. So I'm just measuring or kind of eyeballing where I'm gonna make the cut. And then I'm just going to be using my scissors to cut the length of the paper that I'm going to be using to wrap my paper towel roll. You can use any stronghold glue, a craft or paper glue, or even hot glue. So for me, I'm just using hot glue since it's already there. But you can also use double-sided tape in order to adhere the paper or cardstock to the empty roll of paper towel. So this one with the seam will be the bottom part of my bracelet or watch organizer. And just to keep it more intact, I'm still applying additional glue so that the paper will not unravel. So since the edge is longer than the paper towel roll, I am snipping several sections so that I can fold it. And then I am just going to be hot gluing the top, and then I will be connecting a piece of cardboard that I cut in the same shape to finish it off. I'm repeating the steps in snipping or cutting several sections at the end of the tube of empty roll of paper towel that I'm using to create this organizer. So I'm just trimming some sections that are uneven. And then next, with the other paper that I have left over, I am tracing the end of my tube. And then I will be cutting the shape, and then that will be the cover for the end. So I'm going to be creating or tracing two pieces. These are two circles in the same diameter as the ends of the paper towel tube. And then I'm applying hot glue to where I'm going to be connecting the two circles or the two round paper that I cut. And then I'm just going to be cutting off the excess so that it will have a good finish. Now later on, I'm going to show you that I'm also going to put something there to kind of finish it off because the seams are still showing up after drying, but I'll show you that in a little while. Using this apple barrel pink, that looks like Pepto-Bismol. Anyway, I'm painting the dowel rod as well as the lid. Originally, I wanted to keep the gold because I really like that I didn't have to spray paint that, because how many times do DIYers would spray something metallic? However, it will not go with the design that I'm looking for, so I ended up painting it. You only need probably 2 coats of paint. It took me about 3 coats of paint because I forgot to sand my lid because the lid is shiny or glossy, so I had a hard time. The acrylic paint had a hard time also to adhere onto it. The wood, no problem, but I forgot to sand it. So just the tip for you, lesson learned, please also use sandpaper to sand the lid if you have something that is shiny or glossy in order for the paint to adhere. So here I'm just drying the first coat of paint because I noticed that I have not been able to just adhere it. If you have chalk paint, it adheres to pretty much anything, but unfortunately this acrylic paint and with the glossy finish on the lid, they were not a very good match when it comes to adherence. But it took a while, 3 times, so drying in between, and it ended up looking good in the end anyway. So what I'm doing here is I kind of applied some paint or at the tip or the top of my rod, and then that's what I used to mark my tube in order for me to create a hole. So I have marked the bottom as well as the top, making sure that they are aligned. I didn't use any ruler or measuring tape to measure this. I just eyeballed the center. So you may want to use a ruler. Make sure that you have something parallel to be centered. Now, using my bubble straw, I actually trimmed the end of the bubble straw because it was pointed at one end, and I just trimmed it with scissors. And then here, I'm just using the tip of my hot glue gun to puncture the hole. Again, I did it like the one I've done with the bigger tube. I used paint to guide me So I dabbed some paint there on the top of my rod in order for me to create a mark that I will burn. So I was just being very careful with the bubble straw because it is made of plastic. I didn't want it to melt totally. So it worked out fine. So again, just be cautious. So my family and I, especially my daughter, she likes drinking bubble tea. I don't know if you're familiar with it. They call it baba also. So we often get these straws, and then after using them, I hated this throwing them away. So I figured maybe create some crafts in order to help recycle them, and so that I don't add any more onto our environment. So yeah, so I just dabbed some hot glue. Be careful if you have low temp glue gun, all the better. I have a medium temp glue gun, so I'm just being careful. I'm trying to blow it with my mouth some air so that it cools a little bit faster so that it doesn't melt my plastic. So I've just applied some hot glue to the bottom and top of each of the tubes, or the tube of the paper towel, as well as the plastic bubble straw. And just making sure I double them up so that they do not unravel, or when I put something heavy, they will not slide down. So here I've cut several strips or pieces so that I can cover the seams, and I just apply hot glue and then applying the cut strips in order for me to get a good finish at the end of this tube. And then to match my straw, I'm also using the same material or the same cardstock, and then I just hot glued to the ends of my straw. Doing so made the piece well coordinated. Aside from covering each end of my bubble tea straw, I also added a strip of washi to coordinate. And then here it is, the finished project. I've added some rings on the top and also some bracelets and watches at the bottom tube. So I really love how this one turned out. And also this will be good for those hairbands or scrunchies, and just to demonstrate. And here again, I'm showing some bangles as well as bracelets. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and I'll see you again next week for another Thrifty Thursday. Bye!